All Inuit communities have some level of broadband access, but further investment, however, will be critical to harness new and emerging communication technologies to offset isolation and reduce the high cost of living. All our regions have achieved comprehensive land claims agreements. These are constitutionally protected treaties between Inuit and the Government of Canada. Land claims agreements provide us with a set of tools for shaping our lives and developing our lands and resources. Collectively, Inuit own large parcels of land, some with subsurface rights. We now share in the management and benefits from natural resource development. We have access to investment capital and are using it. We own air and marine transport companies, fishing companies, service industries for oil and gas development, and are joint venturing within various business enterprises. These modern treaties have opened a new chapter in northern development. They govern how development will take place and define a role for us. They provide a more predictable and inclusive business environment. There is a great desire in the Arctic to achieve economic self-sufficiency in ways that build our cultural values into the new economy. But what of community and family life? Despite important new economic opportunities, social realities can be startling. Hardly a day goes by without a news story about a social calamity in a northern community. Drugs, abuse, suicide, and violent crime are alarmingly present. Here are some basic facts drawn from recent data provided by government agencies. The suicide rate for Inuit is more than 11 times the overall Canadian rate, the highest among Aboriginal peoples. Most of the victims are young. The life expectancy gap between Inuit in the communities and all Canadians is 13 years and not closing. The tuberculosis rate for Inuit is 14 times the overall Canadian rate. Inuit households are the most likely to be crowded, and 20% fall below the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation's crowding standards. Inuit have made gains on the education front. However, there is still a large gap between Inuit and young Canadians. 46% of Inuit do not have a high school diploma as compared to 15% of Canadians. 57% of the Inuit population is under the age of 25. The huge gaps in health, education, and housing between Inuit and the rest of Canada remain a source of shame at home and abroad. My job is to help turn that around. One way is to reach out to other Canadians. Canada is an Arctic nation. The Arctic cannot be treated as an afterthought. It is a vital part of our country, and its peoples contribute to the cultural and social diversity that we value so dearly. Our brilliant Inuit artists, along with the likes of Pierre Burton and Hinnoryok Asivak, have succeeded in making the Arctic part of our collective imagination. Now the Arctic must become part of our collective responsibility. Together, we must build robust and sustainable northern communities. A healthy, confident, and prosperous Inuit population will create the foundation for keeping the Arctic family within Canada. We need an educated population ready to take up new jobs and economic opportunities in the north. At the same time, this effort must respect our tradition and language. While our language, Inuktitut, remains strong, we must ensure that education systems promotes its continued use. Let me now look at 4 factors that support my belief that the Arctic is a region whose time has come. Let me start with sovereignty. For generations, Canadians have professed to be a northern nation. In reality, the Arctic has been on the margins of Canadian priorities. Recent events are causing a shift. Today we are scrambling to respond to Russia's planting of a flag on the ocean floor under the North Pole, compounded by the projections that a quarter of the world's hydrocarbons may be in the Arctic basin. Control of Arctic seas, along with the fabled Northwest Passage, could indeed fall into the control of others. This summer, the Prime Minister visited the Arctic to announce plans for a deep water port in Nanisivik and an Army training base at Resolute Bay. He used this visit to promote use it or lose it strategy for promoting Canada's sovereignty in the Arctic. In early October, he reinforced this new strategy by pledging to spend millions of dollars to improve the Port of Churchill, its rail connection. He also released details of a series of research projects as part of Canada's contribution to International Polar Year. He was again quoted as saying, like I said so many times before, use it or lose it is the first principle of sovereignty. For Inuit, these comments are welcome, but a bit ironic. Have Inuit not been living in and using the Arctic for millennia? Has Canada forgotten that northern governments and Aboriginal organizations have been negotiating and implementing governance agreements in the Arctic for the past 35 years? Coherent Arctic policies, both domestic and foreign, must be grounded in long-term strategic thinking and a substantial investment of time, talent and money in both infrastructure and the social fabric of the region. Arctic sovereignty rests on viable communities, sound civil administration, and responsible environmental management, not just ports, training facilities, and military exercises. The new speech from the throne delivered some very encouraging